This is the story of how two good friends shared a stretch of days, the likes of which could not be dreamt, but only hatched naturally as a stonefly crawls from its husk on a river rock and flies for the first time. How they began construction on two very important things, and how each of those things fed their souls in different ways, and how in the end, a tragedy came with a silver lining.
The warm air!
It's a story of the power of imagination, and how one man's trash can be another man's treasure. But the story does not start on the river. It starts on a rounded hillside where one friend had a vision and needed a hand from the one-armed machine.
Curious to see the movie. It's called Broke. I think it's about like a rodeo or something.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Those two going that way. I like it.
It's like I ordered like hours after they announced it. So.
No, I really haven't used the saw much besides doing some cleanup here and then today and yesterday.
Yeah.
I need to get a new.
The girlfriends were away together for the weekend, and so the boys had 2 days to get the foundational elements of the garden squared away. It was very late in May and still not so hot. The rivers were high and the water was cold. Noah had been collecting black locust posts and live edge from a local sawmill, and upon meeting the proprietor, I acquired my first paid job with the one-armed machine. But instead of paper money, I bartered for 6 4x4 posts of black locust, and we would return the next day with the machine to do the task.
Having that freedom to be like, oh, I'll just do that tomorrow.
Do it tomorrow.
And it's shit.
Did he ask you what your job is?
No. He's gotta be confused. Oh yeah.
Closes at 9.
The work felt good, and we did it with care. We ate very well and indulged properly, as is acceptable when building something important. But in our leisurely pace, we had not completed as much as we planned, and Noah had a dentist appointment in the afternoon for a nagging ailment, which meant our good times would be cut off early, and I would have to return to the sawmill alone to complete the task. It was not a fair way to end such a stretch of days, especially given that the sun was beginning to peek through the clouds. But when he called that morning to try and move the appointment, he accidentally scheduled it on a very important day. Mistakenly, he scheduled it on Bum Day, the anniversary of our first camp out on Empty Skillet Bend, where we had not planned to sleep on the river and used our towels to keep warm in the cold night of early June. It was a true childhood adventure that gave nutrients to the soul. But one last call to push the appointment, and Bum Day was freed, and we were now able to complete the garden foundation without rush, get to the sawmill for the job, and whatever else this glorious day might offer. And with all that weight off our shoulders, it was time for a celebratory swim. The sawmill owner had a small pond, and when it rained heavy, as it had been doing, the pond would overflow and flood his basement.
So the trench will have to be kind of deep, like maybe a foot and a half. And how do you envision it?
What do you want to do with all the dirt?
So I dug him a trench that would never allow for flooding of the basement again. They say black locust can last 50 to 100 years in the weather, making it one of the most rot-resistant woods in the world, and I would plan to make something very useful with my posts. And with such a good barter completed, and the garden posts landed square and snug, what else was there to do but head to the river and bask in the glory? It was a very soulful stretch of days, but for the next 2 days, Noah would continue work on his garden, and I would get back to work at home before it was time to celebrate June 3rd.
How you gonna get down? Harper? How you gonna get down? You crazy? You better be careful. Don't do anything crazy. Harper. Look at this cat. She climbed up this entire tree. Now she's way up there, and I know she's gonna have a time getting down. Oh, Harper, please. Oh, God. Hold on. Five sandhill cranes. They sound like pterodactyls or like something Jurassic.
Now?
And so, just as the iris began to bloom, the day arrived. The river was alive, and even the swallowtails knew what day it was. And with the gift of the sun, there was even more cause for celebration.
Idea of the bums, like, bumming at a different part of the river before. Can't even make it to the river on time.
We were at the river.
After a summer of river camping, we were now experienced, and our list of necessities had grown.
Don't know when we're coming back.
And while our first choice was to return to Empty Skillet Bend, the water was too high for that beach, and I had scouted a different spot earlier in the year that could make for a very nice camp. At the entrance, a swift run spilled out under a lone sycamore tree, and guarding the entire perimeter was endless poison ivy.
Look at this run.
Nice firewood.
Dude, raccoon. Look at these. Look at that. That's something we'll worry about later on. Look at this run. I thought I knew you'd like it. I'm so glad you like it.
And after trying out the riffle, it was determined that this was a very good spot indeed, for on the island was endless treasure that had washed up over the years. This could be more than a simple camp. Here, we could establish a fort.
to think we still have work to do, though. Fresh. Nice, Rishi. You're kidding me. Allie would lose her mind if she saw that.
And after a snack, we returned to Empty Skillet Bend to pay our respects.
Brought to tears. Oh, wow.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, so we definitely need to build up.
Couple boards, just mill a couple 1-bys.
Yeah.
Probably carry them in the basket. Like 4-footers.
Yeah. Dead frog. Ooh, wildflowers galore. Oh, these are nettles.
Yeah.
That's right. The river doesn't play. Ah, look at the wildflowers. God, those things hurt instantly. Ah, like they don't even have to stab you.
No. Yeah, I didn't even get
Oh,
thick of it like you did.
ooh,
Ooh, that's just
right? Whew. Yeah, I have no question in my mind at all. So this, I remember it being way sandier here.
I thought this whole bank was kind of sandy.
Yeah. And that was all wildflowers. That's
Yeah.
what this cove was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I get yeah, it's
And as we were exploring, we learned the electric bikes were not holding the same charge that they used to, which would greatly hinder our adventuring if not dealt with. There is not much service on the riverbed, but I sent a signal to Sweet Allie to request a battery bank be brought to the trailhead, but I didn't know if it was delivered or if she would be available.
Oh, I feel like a river bomb.
Twice in a row, I've landed on that rock.
Without the battery bank delivery, we would not have enough juice to make it home, and the bikes are too heavy to paddle alone.
Oh my God, the warm air.
But how could we not explore and at least ride Tobacco Road and stop at Chianti Corner to reflect on another great camp?
Dude. It's so different though. These are like totally different regions of the river. Oh, it's so small. It's short.
so short.
Chiantico.
And the golden memories from last summer flooded back.
Well, I heard of the river bars when I was a boy. Where are their tails going up and down the riverbed?
But we agreed that rather than to go down further towards the promised land and to check in on the willow, we would head back to camp to collect firewood and continue with improvements. As a once empty bank was now turning into a proper little fort. With the green ivy flag waving high.
Small one here.
Yeah.
It was rewarding to build and collect supplies. There is no greater gift than the luxury of time to lay in the leaves, listening to the sound of the river. But a thief of the night was lurking somewhere near. Turns out that Sweet Allie had received the text and in the dark had left the power bank and 2 bike chargers behind a tree, inconspicuous and in the middle of nowhere, nearly impossible to be tampered with.
In order to learn if the battery was ever delivered, we have to travel.
And so we were relieved, and we took our time that morning, dreaming of the prospect of full batteries and endless adventure. It is not a healthy thing to be rushing around anyways, especially when living on the river. And as we further explored the island, we found more good scrap to add to the fort.
Wow. That's good. Good stuff.
But when we finally made it to the trailhead to get the battery and receive an emergency wine and cheese delivery, all that was behind the tree was the imprint from where the bank had been.
Hopefully the rest of the time goes better.
I think it will be
Somehow, someone had found and stolen the battery and the 2 chargers in just a few short hours. And given that very few, if any, people would have been within miles of the location, it was a highly suspicious and bizarre thing to occur. The thieves not only stole the expensive equipment, they stole our dream of adventure, of flying over Hemlock Ridge in the golden afternoon, yipping down Tobacco Road to the Great Plains, fishing at Chianti Corner, surveying the far knotweed shore, lounging in the willow, and exploring the last untraveled road down at the Promised Land. We had been dreaming of this excursion for months, and now we were stranded with all of our gear, yearning for exploration. But slowly, we came to a realization. While all of that was fun, there was magic in being at Fort Ivy with nothing to do.
If you will take the wine, I will meet you at the corner of the street.
And eventually, a great weight was lifted, and after a little wine came clarity. The burden of the bikes and the traveling was gone. Now it was just us and the island.
like a jungle.
To build a fort, to swim in the moving water, to eat over the fire, to sleep on the ferns. There is nothing more needed. So in the end, despite the thievery, it was a beautiful bum day indeed. And after spending 2 days on river time, the thought of going back to society was daunting. It made you ask, am I going back to reality or am I leaving it? But there were things to be done, one of which was finishing the garden of Noah and Kaylee.
Cosi Bella, that's how beautiful you are. Come una giornata soleggiata, gli occhi d'una figlia appena nata. Come il cielo pieno di stelle.
And to see the once rounded hilltop, now a finished garden, would bring a tear to the eye of any good bum.
Il tramonto in estate, le ore più felici passate, quando sei bambino a Natale.
Was it a garden and a fort that were built in this story? Or was it the souls of two friends that were rejuvenated with the joy of imagination?
That is the thing.
A vision of the sun that's slowly rising, painting little clouds at the horizon.